my friends, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is the worst books I read in 2022. Now, just a disclaimer, this is just all my opinion. I did not like these books. That does not mean that you can't love them, and if they are your favorite, I am so happy that you enjoyed these books because I wish I had enjoyed them. I truly wish I had liked these books because I hate disliking books. I really, truly do. So if you love any of these, I am so happy for you. This is just my opinion. We all have different tastes, and that is okay. Just wanted to get that out there just in case someone gets upset that I have a book that they love in this list. This is a very short list because I didn't hate too many books this year. Most of them were just very like meh, very middle of the road. These ones I truly felt very negatively about. Oh, also I don't have a lot of them physically anymore because I unhauled them because I did not like them. So that's why a lot of these will be little covers I pop in because I don't have them anymore with me. Without further ado, let's get into the worst books I read this year. First up is Good Neighbors by Sarah Langan. So this book, I know a lot of people love this book. I remember when everyone was talking about it, and I bought it because people were talking about it. And I'll be honest, I read this book. I purposely finished this book because I hated it. Like, I was just so angry that I was reading it that I had to finish it. Like, I hate Reddit. You know, if you know what I'm talking about, you understand. But I really did not enjoy, like, anything about this book. It was so infuriating to read. The characters were annoying, the plot was annoying, everything was annoying. And when I wasn't very irritated while reading this book, I was bored to tears. I should have DNF'd this book. I really should have. I should have just put it down and said, you're not enjoying this. Why are you reading it? But again, I hate Reddit, so I had to finish it. And for me, nothing in this book worked. I didn't like the writing. I liked the idea of this book. Like, I understand where the author was trying to go with it. I feel like it could have been a good book, but the execution was just not good. In my opinion, I just didn't enjoy it. I thought the sinkhole aspect was very odd. I understand why it was included, but it just didn't mesh with the rest of the story, in my opinion, and it just felt very bizarre. I felt like I was reading a completely different book than everyone else because everyone loved this book. I felt like I got the wrong copy or something. I just felt like I was reading not the book that everyone else was reading. And so, yeah, I did not enjoy reading this book, and I really did not like it when I finished. Most of you know that I did not like this book, and that is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. It's a dark academia thriller, and I was bored to tears. I just didn't care. I thought the characters were all super annoying, super entitled, and I know that was part of the story. I know it made sense, but it was just so aggravating to read. Like, I just didn't care. I didn't care about their little problems, their little rich people problems. Like, it was so boring, and I like rich people drama. I like books about rich people being stupid. Like, I do. I enjoy books like that, but this was so boring. Like, nothing happened, and I got to the end and I was like, maybe the ending will be worth the book. Maybe reading the ending will have made reading the entire book and suffering worth it. It did not. It did not. It did not. I did not like the ending. It was an okay ending, I'll be honest. It wasn't a horrible ending. I didn't hate the ending. But it wasn't as good as I would have liked for suffering through the book. I just wanted something else, and I just felt like this wasn't my kind of book. I didn't care for the writing, the story. I thought it was just very dull to read, and I know so many people who love this book. I do. I know so many people love this book. But for me, the combination of the writing, nothing happening, it dragging on, the ending not making up for any of it, and the people that I just didn't care about and them whining all the time, for me, this book just didn't work out. And it it's made a lasting impression, I'll be honest, but just because every time I hear the name of this book, I'm like, oh yeah, that one, I remember. So unfortunately, this one is on my worst books of 2022 list. Alright, next up is a fan favorite. A lot of people love this book. I know so many people love this book, and I wanted to love this book. I truly wanted to love everything about it, and I did not. And that is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. Now this is a sci-fi horror, which I knew going into it. I'm not a big sci-fi person, and I put my sci-fi not liking opinions aside, and I was like, you're gonna give this a try, and maybe, just maybe, this book is going to change your mind about sci-fi. Maybe this is going to be the book that opens your eyes up and you're like, you know what, I don't dislike sci-fi. I actually do really enjoy sci-fi, and this was really fun. It didn't do that for me. It really didn't. I didn't like pretty much anything about this book. I really didn't care for the characters. I really didn't care for why any of them were doing what they were doing. Like, the explanation for everything just felt so ridiculous to me that I was like, this is it. This is why this whole book is happening. This is why? This is the explanation. Okay, great. The romance in the book was very bizarre. I didn't really know why we needed a romance, and I'm someone who loves romance in horror. I love it. I think it's so great because I love romance, I love horror, put them together, perfect. But it was so lackluster. Like, if you're not gonna put any effort into the romance, why is it there? Like, if it's just like, just to put it in, there's no point, then get it out for me, because if you're not gonna try and actually put thought into the romance and actually want it in there and have like a purpose for it, it feels weird. It just feels like it's just there, like, hi, there's the romance, you know? It just felt bizarre, and I wasn't rooting for them. I wasn't like, oh, they're so cute. I can't wait for them to get out alive and be together. Like, that's not how I felt. I was just like, okay, this is weird. Like, their dynamic's weird, their dialogue's weird, their relationship doesn't feel very, like, it just didn't have like a connection, so I didn't care about their relationship, and it just felt like an afterthought. So for me, I felt like the romance should have just been taken out because I just thought it was bizarre. And overall, I just didn't care for this book. I wish I had liked it. I found it very boring, and again, the explanation was annoying to me. I felt like there wasn't really a real reason for everything happening. It just felt like, this is it, and I was upset by that, and I'm very sad that this didn't change my mind on sci-fi. Now we have another new release that is very popular. I know I am in the minority with this book and my opinion. I know so many people love this one, but I just did not, and that is Just Like Mother by Anne Heltzel. So this is like a cult motherhood kind of horror novel. One of my biggest issues with it is that it's marketed as a horror novel, and for me personally, it follows a very similar formula as a thriller. And again, horror and thriller, I do feel like some books can fall in between them, and so I do feel like that is this one, but to me, it just didn't feel like a horror novel, especially the way it's written and the formula it follows. It's very much a thriller book, especially with the twists that this book tries to go with. I feel like that's much more on the level of a thriller than it was on the horror side. My other thing is, I feel like a lot of people feel this way, but cult novels, when you have a cult in a horror novel, it never really translates as well as it does like in a movie. And for me personally, I just never really love cult books as much as I want to. They're always just a little bit disappointing. And so for me, the cult aspect of this wasn't I don't know, it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I wasn't excited by it, and so that was disappointing. The other really big issue I had with it is that the main character is child-free in this book. She doesn't want kids, and she talks about it a lot, which is a really big thing because her cousin has a job that deals with motherhood, and so it's a big point of the book that the main character is talking about how she doesn't want children, and how she feels about having children, and how she feels about being a mom. And for me, as someone who is child-free, I wanted that to be a really good part of the story. I wanted to have a really good child-free main character because it isn't something that is considered normal most of the time, women not having children. So I really wanted this to be that. I wanted it to be a book where child-free people can look at it and be like, yes, I relate. Awesome. I feel seen. And for me, I feel like that message got completely pushed aside, and by the end of the book, I didn't even know what the message of this book was supposed to be. I felt like going into it, the author was trying to convey one thing, and then by the end, I didn't know where we were. I was like, so is that message not the same anymore? Is it different? Okay, so I was a little bit frustrated by that just because it felt very confusing in terms of what the message was supposed to be. Again, absolutely hated the ending. I thought the ending was ridiculous and made me very upset. Actually, I kind of hated it. So yeah, I know that's a very unpopular opinion. A lot of people love this one, and I'm really happy if you did. The last book on this list is probably my least favorite, and it's not probably, it is 1000% my least favorite book of the year. I hated it. It got the lowest rating that I've given any book this year, and I just pretty much hate every single thing about this book, and that is Womb by Duncan Ralston. Now, I know that a lot of people love this book, and if you did, I am so happy for you. But to me, everything that I typically dislike in an extreme horror novel is in this book, and so it just piles and piles and piles to make me hate the entire book. This book is entirely shock value, and I hate that. I hate when a book relies on shock. For me personally, 90% of this plot is based on shock value, and that weakens the plot so much. I think it shows a very weak writing skill when your plot is based solely on shock and nothing else. So for me, the weaknesses show through much more because it's solely focusing on shock, and I hate that. I don't dislike shock. I don't dislike extreme horror, but I dislike the extreme horror that pretty much rely on shock and don't take the time to actually make a plot and make anything feel well thought out. That goes into saying slurs. I hate when books use language as a shock value. This book does that. This book does use the N slur in it, which again, I hate it. I don't know why it was used. I think it's pointless, especially when it has no business being in this book. It has no reason to be in this book, and it's just for shock value. And I don't like that. I think it is so lame. I just think it shows the weaknesses of the book. My other problem with this book is like the whole anatomy part of this story is just done so poorly. It feels like no one did any research and was just writing whatever they wanted, and they were like, yep, sounds good, let's put it in. Awesome, it works. Perfect. I don't need to Google anything. I don't need to look anything up. I'm just gonna, yep, write it, print it, great. And that's what this book felt like, and it was laughably dumb. So laughably dumb to me that I was so annoyed. By the end of this book, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever read. I didn't enjoy myself. I should have DNF'd it. It was extremely short, thank God, but I wish I could scrub it from my brain because it was just so bad. And I don't mean bad in a good way. It was just bad. It was just not good. Like, it was just bad. Like, horrible. Terrible. Worst book I've read in a really long time. So I feel like that I'm just... I think the moral of the story is I'm just really picky about my extreme horror, and I should not take suggestions off of Book Talk because their extreme horror is not the extreme horror that I like. So lesson learned, I will not do that again. Alright my friends, those were the worst books I read in 2022. I will be honest, I was very nervous to make this video because I know people get really upset when you don't love a book that they love, so I hope none of you take offense to this. I'm just telling you my opinions, my thoughts, my feelings, and again, if you love these books, I am so happy for you. Let me know down below what your least favorite book of this year was, what was the worst book you read, and let me know why, because, you know, I'm definitely keeping my eye on some books out there. I gotta be a little bit more selective, obviously. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know that you enjoy content like this. That way I can keep providing you with content like this in the future. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!